All righty, welcome to Survive to Thrive, everyone. Happy Tuesday. You know, my biggest challenge of the day is remembering what day it is. So funny, right? All righty, guys, if you don't have a copy of this book, please go get it today. All right. Super important. This is your playbook for the next 3 or 4 years. And I want you to read it, reread it, reread it, and reread it. I've probably read this maybe 20 times. And I'm going to be sharing with you today from page 49. Now, it's kind of funny because over the years, I've just pretty much highlighted the entire page. And that's what's going to happen when you read in order to learn versus in order to grow and learn it versus just checking it off your list and putting it back on the bookshelf, right? All those books behind me, if they just stay on that bookshelf and I don't read them again and again and again, the only thing they're accomplishing is making my bookshelf smarter, not helping me a bit. All right, pay attention because we're talking to you right now. Fewer leads, fewer showings, increased days on market. Raise your hand if that's what you're seeing right now. 100%. The minute these signs show up, take notice. You know, I think it's really important to pay attention to words. And I'm going to read that to you again. The minute these signs show up, take notice. Super important. I hear urgency. Now, he goes on to say, don't ignore them. Don't wait to act. These are the early warning signals of what is most likely coming next. My job as a local economist of choice, my job as a strategic pricing professional is to make an observation followed by a forecast. In other words, Sean, this is what I see. And based on what I see, Charlene, this is what's coming next. Your clients expect this from you. You're not order takers. You are professional real estate agents, and it is your job to know the local market better than anybody else does. These are the early warning signals of what most likely is coming next. More inventory and fewer pendings. Well, that's already in our rearview mirror. We've already passed that point. This is the sequence of a shift. Demand slows down and supply builds up. Holy cow, raise your hand if you absolutely that resonates with you. I see it. I see it every day, John. This is exactly what's going on in my market. Yeah, I get it. It starts with fewer leads and ends with even less closings. Buyers and sellers get thrown for a loop, and they in turn throw the market for one. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday. The media typically is about 6 months behind the actual real estate market. And what typically happens is about 6 months after a market begins to shift, the media catches on and they start writing articles. And some of them are just drama, drama, drama. And some of them are right on point. And buyers and sellers all of a sudden put the brakes on. And when they do that, they throw the market for a loop. They throw you for a loop. Everybody, all of us. And I'm going to get ahead of myself here, but the challenge of a shift is to find the motivated. Please write it down. There's not a lack of sales. There's plenty of sales happening. Now it's less than there were. There were 6.2 million homes sold in 2021 and roughly 4 million homes sold last year. And there's fewer homes being sold, but there's still plenty of homes being sold for you to get your unfair share. Please write that down. The challenge of a shift is to find the motivated. All right. Demand slows down, supply builds up. It starts with fewer leads, ends with even less closings. Buyers and sellers get thrown for a loop, and they in turn throw the market for one. What felt like an unlimited supply of buyers and sellers suddenly feels very limited. Abundance quickly shifts to scarcity. So I'm teaching Survive to Thrive in a Shifting Market August 5th here in the Tampa Bay area. Location still be determined, although leaning towards the Coach office space in Tarpon Springs. It's on my Facebook page. If you want to go there and register, please do. Of course, for those of you in California, you're going to have to fly across the country and stay overnight a couple days. If you do that, let me know. We'll go play golf. And I was sharing this morning when I was promoting this event that in 2006, the Dietz team was taking an average of 10 seller listings every month. Cool. 8 out of 10 were selling every month. And then almost overnight, we went from 8 out of 10 seller listings selling to 5 out of 10 and then 2 out of 10. I remember sitting down with my coach at the time and we were talking about how many listings do you need to have in order to hit your goals. And my goal at the time was to have 8 seller listings close every single month. Well, if 2 out of 10 are closing, you guys do the math. That's a whole bunch of listings. We went from an average active inventory of 10 to 12 homes, because we list them, they'd sell, to an active inventory of more than 40 homes. And it seemed like it happened overnight. But we also got back to closing 10 sales every month because we paid attention to what was going on and we made a shift in our mindset and we made a shift in what we were doing. All right, what felt like an unlimited supply, that was 2006, 2005, of buyers and sellers suddenly feels very limited. That was summer of 2006. I can almost point at the month and say, that's when it happened. Right there. What felt like an unlimited supply of buyers and sellers suddenly feels very limited. Abundance quickly shifts to scarcity. All right. But huge important word right here. Write it down, write it down, write it down. Underline it about 100 times because the but in this sentence is critically important. Just because the market has moved from more to less doesn't necessarily mean you have to. Just because the market moves from more to less doesn't necessarily mean I have to. That's how I want you to write it down. Just because the market moves from more to less doesn't mean I have to. It's a choice. You're either going to choose to get your unfair share or you're going to choose not to. As leads become fewer, you must recognize the situation and make a more concerted effort to generate them. You must make a more concerted effort to generate leads. In other words, what you did that got you here won't work to get you there. What worked in 2021 won't work today. You have to make a more concerted effort to get leads. More specifically, you have to make a more concerted effort to find the motivated. You can't sit back. You must be more rigorous and resolute in your lead generation than ever before. More rigorous and resolute in your lead generation than ever before. And more so than anyone else. All right, let me tell you what I hear that. It's a competition. It's a competition for the motivated. There are fewer motivated buyers out there. There are fewer motivated sellers out there. There's a whole bunch of you out there. I'm going to show you a graph in just a moment that shows how the real estate industry responds to market shifts when it comes to real estate agents. And it's really interesting because there's a lag period. After a market shifts, the number of agents getting into the market is still going up. And there's a lag period before we start to see that drop. We're not there yet. I check Stellar MLS every single day. You know, Brad, there's 59,000 real estate agents on Stellar MLS. Isn't that amazing? It's crazy. It's crazy. By the way, when I first started looking at Stellar MLS about a year ago, it was about 55,000. So it's actually grown. As homes are decreasing in sales, the number of agents getting into the business is going up. You got more competition, fewer homes being sold. In fact, now is the time to shift your lead generation activities into the highest gear possible. All right, I'm going to take a bunny trail right here. When I'm talking about more rigorous, more resolute than anybody else, I don't want you to hear, I'm telling you to work harder. That's not the case. It's 100% not the case. If you haven't read the book, 10X is easier than 2X, put it on your reading list. This is not about working harder. It's actually easier. When you get simple, crystal clear on what your goal is, you eliminate everything that doesn't lead to the desired result. Your schedule all of a sudden becomes super simple because you only do one thing. And that one thing is look for motivated buyers and sellers. That's your job. Everything else is a distraction. So when somebody is asking you something and they want you to do this, or they want you to go do that, or they want you to go to this event or that event, or whatever it is, I want you to ask yourself, is this going to help me find more motivated buyers and sellers? If the answer is no, then your answer is no. Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So if you're saying yes to the distractions, you're saying no to your goals. If you study history and you go back and you study the rowing team from the UK during the Olympics, I forget which Olympics it was. Just Google it. Never won a gold medal in the Olympics. Matter of fact, never won a medal, period. Until they came up with the right focus question. And the focus question was, will it make the boat go faster? And if the answer was no, then they said no. If a friend asked them to go out and party late one evening, and they would ask themselves, will that make the boat go faster? No. Well, then no, I'm not going. Will it make the boat go faster? Google it. It's a great story. All right. The cause and challenge of a shift is simply one more: motivation. When a market has shifted, what has really happened is that buyer and seller motivation has changed. There you go. We talked about that yesterday, right? All right. I'm going to go to the whiteboard and I'm just going to share a model shift, what that looks like. See if I can get it back far enough so you all can see the whole thing. That's in glare, don't like that. I'm going to keep moving this around. All right, there we go. All right, so first of all, just to color code this, blue is units closed, red is price, green is trend, and black is agents. Now, if you looked at the real estate market back in 2000 and you tracked the real estate market from 2000 until 2006, the number of homes that was being sold was going up. The market's good. The market's hot. It's a seller's market. We're selling lots of homes. I believe we reached a peak here of about 6.3 million homes sold. And then, like I said, in the summer of 2006, I could almost point at a calendar and say that's when it happened. The number of homes being sold started to slow down. Listings started to sit on the market. Longer days on market, fewer buyers, fewer deals, fewer closings. We were in a market shift. And for a lot of us, it was a market that we've never seen before. For me, at the time, it was a market that I've never seen before. And my first response was to panic. When somebody started talking about doing short sales and I did research on what a short sale was, I remember actually going to my wife, who's my business partner, and I said, if we have to do short sales to survive, I'm getting out of real estate. All right, 2 years later, 70% of the deals we were closing were short sales. So that would have been a very dumb thing on my part, by the way. Thank God I didn't do that. All right, now what happened is we didn't see prices start to drop until almost 2 years later. Interesting. Really interesting. I want you to look at the market today. Units sold started to drop off in 2022. In 2021, there were 6.3 million homes sold. Interesting, right? 6.3 million, 6.3 million. And by 2023, that number was down to 4 million homes sold. Fewer homes being sold. Listings sitting on the market longer. Fewer buyers, fewer deals, fewer closings. Now go back to 2008. We saw the prices start to drop in 2008, and nobody knew where the bottom was, but all of the experts were predicting a year, maybe 2 years. In reality, it took 4 years to find the bottom. In 2012, the market started coming back. By 2016, we were back to where we were in 2008 with prices, because just like prices followed the number of units being sold, the price drop continued to fall, even though the number of homes being sold went up. Interesting. Now, you'll notice also this black line, right? This black line represents the number of agents in the business. And as the market gets better, you see more and more agents getting into the business. And what happens is, even after the market shifts, even after prices start to drop, agents continue to get in the business. And what it does is it creates this, which is survive. There's fewer sales with a lot more real estate agents. That's the survive period of this. Now, down here, you'll see the number of agents getting out of the business continues to drop, even though units are going back up. Prices are going back up, and this period right here is when you thrive. You have to survive in order to thrive. Now, since 2012, the number of units has steadily climbed until 2022, and we started to see that fall off, and here we are today, fewer homes being sold. Prices continue to go up. That's where we are today. Where are we going next? Well, if we believe that history repeats itself, we're going to go back to 2008. This is what I see. The observation is we're heading for prices drop. We're heading for a major price drop. What does that look like? I don't know. Is it going to last 2 years, 3 years, a year, or is it going to be 4 years like it was last time? Are prices going to drop 10%, 20%? 30%, or will it be 50% like it was last time? Nobody knows the answers to those questions. There's a whole lot of different opinions out there. But what I can tell you that's different this time is we don't have a housing crisis created by, boy, I don't want to blame this on anybody. We don't have a house, let's just say it. We don't have a housing crisis created by a mortgage industry where you could get no doc loans at 100% and even 120% value, like I was talking about yesterday. And you had a whole lot of people that were buying homes in 2004, 5, even 6, that were buying them who were upside down on their mortgage within the next 12 months. And now all of a sudden we've got an entire country where there are thousands and thousands and thousands of homeowners who are upside down on their mortgage and are short sales. Now, here's the good news, guys. Your level of success, not everybody else's, just yours, is determined by you and nobody else. It's determined by you. It's not the market. If the market dictates your success, if it's somebody else's fault, then what are you going to do about that? Absolutely nothing. I mean, if you have the mindset, well, it's the government's fault, it's all of the politicians' fault, it's the president's fault, what the heck are you going to do about the president? Nothing. But if you can look in the mirror and say, my level of success is 100% my responsibility, the buck stops here, then your level of success is only limited by one thing and one thing only: your willingness to find the motivator. All right, talk to me.
I have a question. the about a month ago, I had about 5 sellers take their home off the market to rent it.
Yep.
And it just kind of socked me in the stomach. And there were about 6 listings over the next couple of weeks I could have taken, but I determined that they weren't motivated by the pricing, by questions. And I look back now, I wish I would have taken. Historically, I've taken any listing I can, hoping through time they'll change. But in this case, I think because I had, again, it had just, socked me in the stomach, all these listings going off the market,
Yeah.
then I made that decision not to take them. Mistake, or what would you do?
Well, it depends on the seller. So the first question I would ask anybody who's thinking of renting versus selling, Brad, that's part of the question here, right?
Well, no, my question was more that I had 5 people take the home off the market to rent. And so on the next 5 listing appointments I went to, I could have gotten listings, but that played in my mind. I don't want to take an overpriced listing that's
Right.
going to then rent, and I didn't take the listings. So I
Right.
guess the question is, do you take 80% of the listings you can? I mean, naturally, if you can find the motivated seller, you only want to take the motivated listings.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the rule of thumb that I live by. If there's less than 90 days on the market, I'll take the property up to 3, maybe 2, maybe 3% above market value, right? You got an $800,000 home. It's going to sell for somewhere between 790 and 800. The seller wants 825,000. There's less than 90 days of inventory. Let's go. If we get into a market where we're moving towards 6 months of inventory, I'm not taking that property $1 over market value. And market value is based on what it would take to beat the competition in today's market. It's not based on appraised value. It's not based on my opinion of what that home is going to sell for. It's based on what is it going to take to get this home sold. Now, if I've got a seller that wants to price that home 2-3% above the market value, sorry guys, Lacey's cat is visiting. Say hi.
Hi.
I'm walking away. So go back to the listing presentation, Brad. Whenever I meet with a potential seller, one of 3 things typically happens. What's number 3? Number 3 is I may turn down the opportunity. And the reason I would turn down the opportunity is if I feel the seller has a goal or an expectation that cannot be met or exceeded, I would rather turn the opportunity down today than let you down 6 months from now. Now, however, in talking to that seller who's plan B, and that's always a question I'm going to ask a seller who wants to price too high. If the market rejects your price, what's plan B? Now, if their answer is I'll rent the property, my answer to them is, what's your greatest fear? If you do rent the property out, what's your greatest fear? Now, you may have to help them find the answer, but the answer is, their answer should be, my greatest fear is I get somebody in the property who isn't paying their rent and I have to evict them. Yeah. You've got 3, 4, 5 months not collecting rent. You're going upside down because you still have to make payments. You're losing lots of money. And what if you get the property back with $10,000 worth of damage? Now, Brad, my follow-up question to that seller is, are you okay with that? And if the answer is no, okay, so now, if the market says no to your asking price, what's plan B? And then be quiet, make them answer the question. I don't know if that helps you or not, but
yes.
Okay, good. All right, good.
No, real quick, I'm actually meeting a seller this morning at 10:30. It's a situation where I'm meeting with a sister her sister died, and she is the executor. And I've sold like 28 homes in this community. I know it inside and out. I sold the same model last month, very similar upgrades and all. It's a different market than it was when that house went under. So I know the conversation is going to go, well, that one sold for this. And I know it appraised higher than what I sold it for too. But in light of everything that's happening, I feel like it's going to be a tough conversation to have. I don't know her motivation yet. She may just want to unload the house and be done with it because she lives out of state. but any words of wisdom of what I can share with this seller about maybe, and we're also, this is where we're competing against the builder incentives, new construction, all of that.
Mhm. Yeah, needs
I like a
analysis.
good challenge.
Needs analysis is really important here, Emily. So make sure you do a complete and thorough needs analysis. Find the motivation, okay? Then the next answer is let the data do the heavy lifting. Bury her in data. Just data,
Right.
data. How many homes are on the market? How does that compare to the market when that last home sold? What's
Right.
the average days on market? What's the average list price to sell price ratio? How many months of inventory are there? You know, real estate is a supply and demand business, just like every other business. And when that other home sold, you were probably in a supply and demand of less than 60 days, maybe less than 30 days. Now, a simple shift to 90 days plus is going to make a huge difference. Now sellers are competing for buyers, and in order for sellers to win that competition, the only way they can win that competition is price.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Wish me luck.
You know, what's interesting is, guys, Emily, we never have to explain to someone or justify the price went up, right? I mean, they get that. Congratulations, the market's hot. You've been in your house now for 5 years. It's appreciated by 150, 200,000. I mean, you're going to get this ridiculous price for your home. And you never have a seller go, but no, they're all on board, man. They get that. As soon as you start talking to them about a shifting market and they're going to get a little bit less money for their home, all of a sudden, they don't understand simple supply and demand. That was a rant. You can ignore it. All right, one more and we're gonna jump. What'd you hear? You know, every time I do that, you guys just sit there and stare at me.
I like the reminder that, you know, it's just because there's a, you know, inventory doesn't mean that we have to live like a scarcity mindset or even just lower production. It's, are you going to go get your unfair amount, or are you going to, and it's a decision.
It is.
You just got to do the things you haven't done before.
There it is. Thank you, Dave. You're having a pizza party. You have 10 friends over. You order 2 large pizzas. There's 20 slices, 2 for everybody. The pizza driver screws up the order and you only get 1 large pizza and there's 10 slices. Does everybody only get 1 now?
I'm getting my unfair.
Don't ruin it for me. Don't ruin it for me.
It depends on how fast she can eat.
All right. Here's my position on this. Beth was going to take it away from me because she's heard it 1,000 times. I'm still getting my 2, guys. The rest of you can figure it out.
I'm getting mine too.
There you go. There's nothing about fair share. I don't know where anybody ever came up with that word, but eliminate it. Go get your unfair share.
Can I say one thing that's on 49? It's up at the top.
Yeah.
If your ship doesn't come in, swim out to it. Love it. Love it.
I love that.
Isn't
Yeah.
that cool? Yeah.
Yes.
Jonathan Winters.
Yes. All right. I'll close with a funny story here really quick. Okay. Is this being recorded? Yeah, it is. So several years ago, when I was teaching a Survive to Thrive class, the materials that I had created for that class said survive, what to do when the market SHITS. True story. Sitting in the front of the room, one of the agents in the room says, "John, did you proofread this?" I'm like, "I don't know. What did it say?"
Well, it's true either way.
I think it is true, right? Okay.
That's true.
All right. Make it a great day, everybody.